You're listening to I Have Some Notes, a podcast supported by listeners like you. To contribute, visit patreon.com/I Have Some Notes. All right, Greg, here's the pitch. A movie about a superhero who fights corrupt, polluting chemical companies on behalf of environmental stewardship.
Hell yeah, I've been waiting for a Captain Planet movie forever.
Oh, no, this is the Toxic Avenger.
Oh, man, I have some notes.
Welcome, everyone, to I Have Some Notes, the movie podcast with cuts, keeps, punch-ups, and tweaks on mediocre movies. I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
I'm Greg Beaver.
And today we are discussing The Toxic Avenger 2023, not the one from the 80s.
Yeah. What a movie to remake, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, I guess before we get into this one, are either of you familiar with the original film?
Shamefully, perhaps. No. The Toxic Avenger series was one that kind of passed me by, which is interesting because this is one of those movies that, like, super R-rated movies that somehow became like popular with kids in the 80s. Mm-hmm. RoboCop's in there. The Police Academy movie was in there. And then they got like cartoons made of them. And so I've seen the Toxic Avenger cartoon and I had some of the action figures, but I never got around to watching the original film at any point in my life. And so this was really my first exposure to Toxic Avenger, like the R-rated the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, have you seen it?
No, I haven't. And in fact, in thinking about it, my exposure to the Tromaverse is actually quite limited. I think I've only seen Tromeo and Juliet.
That's fair. I have seen that one, and I have seen Toxic Avenger, but also, I watched the original Toxic Avenger in the last couple years. Like, I think knowing this was, like, since this movie has been made, I was like, I should watch Toxic Avenger. I can tell you, gang, you're not missing much. It's like, is it Deathstalker versus Deathstalker 2025? Not at all. It's infinitely better than Deathstalker, but it's one of those things where I could see if you saw it as a teenager around the time it came out, it would have like blown your feeble mind. And I can absolutely understand why there's like a cult fandom around it. But it's like I listened to a lot of punk rock in high school, and like some punk is timeless and some of it is just for teenagers. And it's the same kind of thing as this movie. And it's fine. And I know some people are going to be upset, but I think you need to look deep down in your heart and know that the Toxic Avenger it's no RoboCop. Let's put it that way.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'll probably get around to seeing it at some point, but it certainly hasn't been obviously something that I've been burning to watch over the past few years.
Yeah. This is why I don't go back and watch Ski School. Because Ski School I have very fond memories of, but I watched it when I was like 10. So like it ain't gonna be good, and I don't need to revisit it.
But certainly a creative idea. Actually, is it a creative idea? It's a lot of superheroes get splashed with gunk. Yeah, it was fun. I do the Troma-iness of the original is sort of what's endearing. It's clearly it's fun for the same reason like the original Evil Dead is fun. Like, it's clearly a bunch of people having a good time making a movie with $0 and a big idea and like just enough rubber to get the job done. Like,
I mean, I've read Bruce Campbell's autobiography, and I don't know that they were having a lot of fun on the set of Evil Dead, but yeah, like I mean, it is. I do appreciate that part of it. Just like the guerrilla filmmaking, and just, it takes a lot to make a movie, and to do it, with very little budget and perhaps little experience. That's something else entirely.
Of course, this film was released in September of 2023, debuting at Fantastic Fest, directed by Macon Blair, written by Macon Blair, and based on the Toxic Avenger by Lloyd Kaufman and the Troma Industries people, which James Gunn cut his teeth doing. Bunch of creature feature practical effects people came out of that studio. So, and getting remade some 30 years later. So.
Yeah.
Also, very fun trivia for this movie. I had heard when it came out, and then I discovered it looking up information in preparation for this episode. This Toxic Avenger film, the marketing team took a significant amount of the marketing budget, and instead of spending it on bus ads and branded pens, they donated it to a organization that undoes medical debt, called Undo Medical Debt.
Oh, wow.
In the States. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they help pay about $5 million of different Americans' medical debt. So.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Well, that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
It's so rare you hear nice things these days. I'm happy to hear that.
What'd you guys think of this? I guess I hit us with the cast before we get into it.
Sure.
Of course, Peter Dinklage as Winston Goose, the Toxic Avenger, but mostly the voice, because all the makeup, full Jim Carrey Grinch situation was done by Luisa Guerrero, who is the suit performer for Toxic Avenger. Jacob Tremblay as Wade, Taylor Page as JJ Doherty, Kevin Bacon as Bob Garbinger, and Elijah Wood as Fritz Garbinger. What did you guys think of this movie?
It's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it has some nice earned emotional beats here and there, I felt. It's kind of a splatterfest, but it's the best kind of like goofy splatterfest where the violence is shocking, but also cartoonish. It had a lot of like fun, colorful characters. Like for what it is, it's a fun romp.
I also liked their approach to gore, where it was, like you said, over the top, but cartoony in a way that doesn't make it quite as visceral.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff recently, whether it's that Aronofsky movie Caught Stealing, or even The Pit, where like really visceral physical violence is kind of giving me the willies lately. Whereas this, having a guy's jaw get corroded off by a toxic broom or a toxic mop kind of is like, okay, that's way less fucked up than what's on The Pit. Like,
I had, when we put out the call for notes for our listeners, a few people had given us the response that they weren't quite certain how to fix it because they were, like Scott, having a lot of fun with the movie. And I said, some listeners are going to profoundly disagree with what I have to say about this movie. And I got some pushback on that. One listener said, "What's wrong with you, Greg?" Which felt very direct and pointed, and it sort of suggests that it's not the first time that they've been like, what the fuck's this guy problem? So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad movie. I want to get that out of the way real quick. It's just
try to win back the goodwill of our listeners.
Sure.
No, they can handle it.
It's just that, I don't know. It's not my type of movie, I guess. I don't know. There's some things you just kind of bounce off for maybe reasons that you don't totally understand, but it's not my type of humor, I think, is probably the best way to put it. And I think that comedy is kind of like deeply personal, and there's a lot of comedy that just isn't going to hit you the way it does hit someone else. I found myself pretty bored. I remember saying that in my head quite a lot while I was watching it, going, I'm bored.
Mm-hmm. Valid.
And I actually, everything that's good about this movie is right up until he jumps into the Toxic Avenger suit, so to speak. And then I kind of don't like most of what happens after that.
Interesting. Excited to hear you elaborate that on the fixes and some of the more granular details on the other side of the plot summary. It's also interesting to hear you say that it's not your type of humor, because I think what I dislike about this movie is that it very much is my sense of humor and my sensibilities and what I like. And I was very hyped for this movie. I have been watching it since it debuted at Fantastic Fest for like, when can I see this? When can I see this? And maybe I overhyped it in my head, but I saw this in theaters over the summer and I was like, I felt let down. I also was kind of bored. I wasn't rolling in the aisles. I wasn't blown away by the effects the way I was with something like even Deathstalker, right? Like it just was kind of middling, and it disappointed me in a way other middling movies don't, because this is very much to my sensibilities.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's hear from the trailer and the plot summary before we get into some more specifics.
We'd lost Shelley a year ago. These days, it's just me and the kid. It's going good.
You're saying that this corporation would knowingly poison its own customers just to boost their own profit margins? Summon the nuts.
Okay, summoning the nuts.
I didn't want any of this. I'm a monster.
You're not a monster. Show him your good heart.
Hey, buddy, I'm your dad.
What the?
I wasn't even involved. But sometimes, you gotta do something.
Who the fuck are you?
Just some dude with a mop!
I'm screaming the call, holding hands up to God.
Life has dealt Winston Goose a shitty hand. His wife died of brain cancer, leaving him to step-parent her teenage son, Wade. He also has brain cancer, and the treatment is not covered by his insurance. He works as a janitor at the chemical plant that caused his brain cancer. Bummer. Things only get worse when he's shot, killed, and dumped in a vat of toxic waste by a gang of costumed lunatics. An insane clown posse, if you will. Like so many Flashes, Daredevils, and teenaged turtles before him, those chemicals give him miraculous superpowers. Strength, regeneration, corrosive piss, and a glowing mop to boot. The situation also left Winston green and hideously disfigured. He quickly makes an impression on the denizens of St. Roma's village and gains the ire of corrupt pharmaceutical CEO Bob Garbinger. His company, Body Talk Health Style, is the same one Winston worked at earlier. The medicine is actually bad, you see. The stepson Wade is endangered when Winston teams up with activist whistleblower JJ to expose BTH's poisonous influence. Bloody, gnarly, gory, splatterful, festering, putrid, vulgar violence abounds as Winston saves his stepson, fights corruption, and shows the world that sometimes you have to do something, you know?
Body Talk Health Style is a great douchebag corporate name, by the way. Yeah. No notes on that.
Bob is just the perfect modern villain. Just one of those weird, creepy billionaire CEOs who's obsessed with youth.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon does a good job. I think he's got a thing for like Troma and Troma adjacent superhero movies, because he's basically the same character in that movie Super.
Oh, yeah.
Rainn Wilson and Elliot Page, and that's a James Gunn joint, and James Gunn came out of Troma.
Yep.
So yeah, Kevin Bacon clearly has an affinity for this studio and the people who work for it, which is great because he does a good job as the sneering, corrupt villain. I really do like how Peter Dinklage plays him as sort of this like put up, like you see a lot of like put upon hard luck, trying his best underdog characters, and this guy had the way he plays it I found very genuine, like kind of like very lived in for such an over the top cartoony movie. Like
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Peter Dinklage is the best part of this movie. And again, I enjoyed this movie, so that's not me damning him with faint praise here.
Yeah. And like, I think Peter Dinklage is doing some really good work in the opening third of the movie.
Yeah.
I think like he's got one of the most expressive faces in Hollywood, I think, and he's using it to full effect. And he's really giving this, Toxic Avenger movie like a lot of nuance. Like you get a real good sense of this try-hard stepdad who really does love the kid, genuinely feels badly about where the kid is in life and what's happened to his parents and stuff, and just trying his level best to be a good father as best as he can. And the pain and anguish he goes through when he's failing at it, and that coupled with the comedic bits of him trying just way too hard, it's all really, really good work, I think.
100%.
I also liked Elijah Wood's creepy, riffraff looking lackey. Elijah Wood loves bankrolling and being part of these kind of weird movies. He was, not to sound like a broker, he was produced The Greasy Strangler. Like the dude loves weird shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Did anyone just think he looked like Gollum? I think he looked like Gollum.
No, I agree.
Riffraff or Danny DeVito Penguin.
Yeah, he looked
there
like
you go.
Riff-Raff.
Yeah, that's a good combination of like, a little bit of Gollum, a little bit of a Danny DeVito Penguin.
I liked pretty much all the characters in the movie. Honestly, everybody was like colorful and interesting. Like even the weird band of goons were kind of fun henchmen. Yeah. The personal assistant who's like weirdly devoted to Bob Garbinger is fun. Like there's just this colorful group of people who the Toxic Avenger gets to bounce off of in this film, and I think that works for it. Like even the mob boss and his goons are like good. It's yeah.
The killer nuts were a nice touch to have full on costumed henchmen, like to sort of in-world justify having, weird goons. Yeah. By just having them be like an insane clown posse band.
I have a note about them, but overall I like them for sure.
Well, I think that's, plenty of praise. And I think Scott will be defending this throughout the show a lot, but I guess, do we want to start getting into some of what we didn't like? What was boring you, do you think, Greg?
Oh boy, is that ever a good question? Because I was just like thinking about that, and I was like, it almost feels a little ineffable to me, because I think Scott's right that like there are a lot of really colorful characters, and I think it's just in the way that a lot of it is being presented. I feel separated from what's supposed to be these very colorful characters and it hitting me with impact. There's a lot of scenes, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there were quite a few scenes where there were a crowd of people running around screaming, and there was like all these ADR lines, and it was just like joke after joke after joke after joke. And like, it felt so deliberate and purposely bad that I felt like it must have been a reference. I don't know if it was.
Sure.
But that's the way it came off to me. But it did, like that, it still had, it still triggered my sort of brain in a disconnected sort of way. So, it is as difficult to describe as I had originally feared.
I think because this is the second time I've seen it, and I realized on the second watch what I think bored me about it was on much more of a macro sense, and I think maybe why you're feeling that disconnect. for all of its style, for all of its personality, for all of its colorful characters, plot by plot, it is the most template, boilerplate, pick your plate, superhero origin story, hero's journey, unlikely underdog, fights the big bad guy, and in the end wins the affection of the person he is trying to win over, be it child or love interest or whatever.
Yeah.
It is functionally no different than like the first Spider-Man movie, the Daredevil. Like, it's just that, like, guy gets power, guy is underdog, learns to use power, gets everyone on the town he's from on board, and then fights the corruption. And it doesn't do... I guess that's why it almost doesn't matter how well it walks the self-serious or self-deprecating, it's not taking itself too seriously except for the emotional beats it earns. It doesn't really matter how well it walks that tight walk, because it's got bowling, kids at a bowling alley gutters of the safest, most basic hero's journey story you've seen 1,000 times.
Can I suggest one more thing? Yeah. Because, I had mentioned what an expressive face Peter Dinklage has and all the good work that he's doing. And one of the issues that I had, and this is before me knowing that Peter Dinklage is not in the suit. Right. But the one thing that bothered me is I don't see any of those expressions in the suit, because the actor or actress, is covered in so much heavy prosthetics that they've lost the ability to emote. Like, really, most of the time it feels that they can't do too much other than move their jaw. And I found that to be a bit of a problem, because in the first half of the movie, when we're seeing Winston Goose, we're getting he's kind of like the straight man in the movie, even though lots of crazy things are happening to him. But then when we get into Toxic Avenger, I mean, obviously, the Toxic Avenger is sort of like a silly parody of a superhero, but also, I think maintaining that straight man kind of thing was sort of important to his journey. And I just feel like he became the same as the rest of the sort of minor colorful characters.
You feel like he should have remained more grounded as bad stuff kept piling up on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that was the intention. But I just don't think they got.
You don't think it executed? Yeah.
Yeah.
I as much as I enjoyed the movie, I'm not going to say that it's perfect. I think that there's almost maybe one too many subplot going on. There are a lot of colorful characters, but there's almost too many colorful characters. I kind of agree with where you're coming from as well, in that both of you actually, in that I feel like he wins over the affection of the town too quickly. I think that should have been the reward for him bringing down the bad guy, not something that just happens on his second day as the Toxic Avenger. So yeah, there's ways that this could have been a more interesting and more difficult journey for Winston. And I think that would have made the movie maybe more compelling for someone like Greg.
Yeah, I mean, could do.
Yeah.
I think Elijah Wood's character also has a turn at the end that seems a little out of nowhere. Well, maybe not entirely, but
it's foreshadowed. It's just, I think it's just nothing new. He's a new looking character, but we've seen the put upon lackey slowly get, one too many slights against him as the villain is backed further and further against the wall, shown how little value he actually has to him to do a face turn at the 0 hour. It is such a individual moments are fun and creative and interesting, but everything holding them together is the most cliched superhero shit we've seen 100 times. And it just makes it hard to feel inspired by the gore or the costumes or even the performances early on when you're like, I know where this is going. Like,
yeah. I feel like I watched this alone, so I part of me feels like, you know, if I was watching it with you guys or something like that, I probably would have had more fun with it than I did. But yeah, like watching it starting it at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday is probably not the best Toxic Avenger experience. I'll cop to that. So
it probably would have improved it, but I saw it in theaters with two buddies.
Oh yeah.
And it not much better.
And how did your buddies feel about it?
They were also like, yeah, it was good. Like, we did not have a bad time at the movies. It's there's not a lot wrong with it. It's just, it feels like there should be
more,
a little more sizzle. Like,
yeah. It's perfectly fine. It could be better.
Yeah. It's such a it's such a hard thing for us to sit here and be like, okay, well, we're gonna try and rewrite this or whatever. And really, what feels like mostly wrong with it is like, I don't know, the attitude isn't quite there. It needs more attitude. Like I'm gonna be like a studio exec in the second half, being like, yeah, we gotta zazz this up a bit.
I mean, I have actionable fixes for it, but just sort of the general airing of grievances of like, yeah, it's the same underdog superhero story. Like, yeah, but I have fixes. I don't know about you guys. I got steps we can take.
Got a couple ideas, sure.
Well, why don't we go to them now?
Okay.
We'll see you on the other side of the ads.
What's up, nerds? This is Josh from Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and so much more. Every week, we break down the latest blockbuster movies, TV shows, revisit comic events. We even talk to comic creators like Kyle Higgins, Melissa Flores, and Matt Groom. And don't miss out on our Superhero Showdown episodes where we debate your suggestions on who would win in a fight, or maybe they might become friends. So join in on the conversation with me, Josh, and my co-host Alex every Wednesday on your podcatcher of choice. Look for our yellow and red icon, and we'll see you soon, Smackheads.
Welcome back. We are fixing Toxic Avenger 2023. Scott, what do you got? You're the biggest champion of this. What do you think needs to be fixed?
Well, as I mentioned in the first half, I feel like there's one too many little subplots going on with the bad guys. The mob is kind of a fun little twist, but it's just really more goons for Toxie to have to fight. And it adds a little bit more complication to what can just be a cut and dry villain show. Bob can just be a douche by himself with a bunch of mooks working for him. In addition to the killer nuts, he can have like his like mercenary team. He can have like a corporate security team who's working for him, which fills essentially the same role as the mob goons do. I think you can carve that out very neatly. And if you want to do a sequel, the Toxic Avenger takes on the mob. You use them then, right? Like, yeah, you save that.
And also with I like collapsing the mob because part of the purpose the mob serves is to push Bob Garbinger more and more back against the wall, but his dealings with the mob and his falling stock prices should not be the thing making him sweat. It should be pressure from Toxie and JJ and other environmental activists.
100%.
Making him more desperate and sweaty.
That should absolutely be it. Plus his obsession with like perfect health. And the idea that the Toxic Avenger has somehow like his regenerative abilities. That's what I want. I just need to not look like a freak. Like that's what I want. And so the motivation's there. You don't need that extra little bit. I also think that, and I said this in the first half as well, Toxie wins over the town too quickly. He needs to be secretly helping people for a while because he looks like a little goblin man, and people need to be afraid of him for much longer. People need to think that he's a problem, and then JJ has more to do because she's the public face of the good he's doing. Because he wins her over right away because she was there when he transformed. She recognizes that he's another victim of the company, and she's there to help. But the town thinks he's a weird freaky monster that came out of the woods to like eat babies. And that needs to be the case right up until Garbinger is very publicly brought down and he's revealed to be the hero that he is. So I feel like he needs to go through more hardship through the middle part of the movie. I have one last note, and it's about the killer nuts. I love them. I
Yep.
wanted them to be turned into freaky mutants.
Great. We have the same notes.
I wanted
yeah.
some Bebop and Rocksteady action. I wanted Bob to at some point be like, you guys aren't freaky enough to take on this guy. We're turning you into freaks. And they all get turned into hideous monsters too. That there needed to be 60% more hideous monsters in this movie.
My big note for this movie is exactly that. I can say everything you just said in 6 words: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Sure.
That is the thing about him having to hide because he's ugly and only having one nice lady who's too smart for her own good being the parallel to keep him hidden. That's the April O'Neil from that recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. More mutant guys. The best part of Mutant Mayhem was the fact that there's 15 other mutants and they all have celebrity voices.
Yeah.
This movie needed 15 different mutant guys for him to fight, not just goons.
And then you you have Bob's corporate security team is the level 1 mooks. They're just regular guys. He can rip off their arm. He can smash them in the face with his mop.
He can take their bullets.
And that's fine. And then because those guys are ineffective, Bob mutates his psychotic band of misfits, and now they're super powered too. And that poses a bigger threat for Toxie. And you get some fun, goofy, gory action movie set pieces between monsters at that point.
Yeah.
Which is rad. That's what I wanted to see more of. So instead they kind of just get dispatched in the movie at a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually kind of disappointed in how easily they went down because they were presented as kind of the elite mooks. So yeah, there you go. You have a bigger threat and Bob is more of a villain because he's willing to do terrible things to his own guys. Though to be fair, the Killer Nuts would also probably be they would be this is rad that we're now guar looking freaks. I keep using the word freaks, and I'm not sure if I should be, but
mutants. They're all mutants. We're all mutants here.
I have a question. Does Bob need to be the one that puts a bullet in Winston?
I mean,
for a couple of reasons. One, you get the direct villainy of it. 2, it puts him in a position where he understands what has happened to Winston. Shot him dead, threw him in the toxic sludge, and it regenerated him. And that is his path to everlasting life. Right?
Yeah, actually, that's kind of clean. If Bob is if he gets chased around, if he and JJ are chased around by the Killer Nuts and they bump into Bob, and because at that point, Winston still thinks that Bob's a good guy. Mm-hmm. And then Bob's the one who betrays him and puts a bullet in him and then has the Killer Nuts go and toss him in the toxic sludge to dispose of the body. That works. And that makes it a little more personal. And then you have
Elijah Wood watching Bob do this. And being somewhat appalled at what's happening, so you kind of fit that beat into it as well.
Yeah,
I like that because Elijah Woods, for as much as he makes a face turn, his hands are pretty dirty right up until the end.
In fairness,
he's the one telling the Killer Nuts what to do, and it should be Bob. And with him just sort of off to the side, being like, "Yes, boss, I'm so afraid of you, boss," and then get his face turned.
He's basically doing most of the stuff against his will.
In fairness, there is a very funny beat at the end where Wade is like, "No, you're better than killing people," and the Toxic Avenger is like, I've already killed a lot of people."
Yeah, I did. I did appreciate that bit. Yeah,
some good lampshading. I like that. Yeah, maybe having Bob have more of a hand in the creation is a better way to make things come full circle without it being so route.
Yeah, and you also get a scene with Kevin Bacon and Peter Dinklage, which I think would be great.
Yeah, other than just them at the dinner.
Oh, right. Duh, yeah. I mean, and that stuff was good too. So, I mean, I liked all that stuff that led up to it. So, another scene with the two of them.
So I have a controversial take that Greg may disagree with, but I think less of the beginning to get to the madcap action of monsters fighting each other sooner. And to piggyback on what Scott was saying about the community, I think the sort of the motivation should be protecting the people of St. Roma Village or Tromaville. I honestly think you could cut the kid entirely. And it's just about him trying to protect the community, and they don't appreciate all the ways in which he is both secretly and then openly defending them, because JJ is trying to find a cure. Everyone in Tromaville is sick. Everyone is a victim of the corporate, malfeasance. That's the innocent that he should be trying to protect and win over, is the community at large.
I kind of agree with you, and I kind of disagree with you, and it's partly because I like Wade. Sure. But I agree with you that he should be motivated to help the whole community. But I feel like Wade helps put a face on that, and it also gives him personal stakes when Bob kidnaps him in the final act.
Yeah.
So that there's someone who is family, who he is invested in, who he's willing to go into hell to try to save.
But that's JJ. By the end of the movie, that's JJ.
No, because then you're implying something romantic there, and I don't want that.
Sure, that's fair.
So, and plus, the father-son relationship is nice. He has a nice earned ending to it, and again, I like the kid. I like the kid in the movie, and I like the stupid dance at the end. So I still want that.
I mean, you could. This would be probably the lazy way to do it, but the kid could get sick. He could be the avatar for the town because he's one of the people affected by the chemicals. But then I don't know if you want him getting sick and Dinklage getting sick at the same time. So
I like that idea, but I think I can split the difference with what we're saying here. Keep Wade the son so that there's someone to kidnap at the end and a personal face. But I think instead of wanting to do dance, because mostly the dance thing is an excuse to get Peter Dinklage in a tutu, which is a callback to the original. That's really the only reason the kid dances, is to justify the tutu.
Oh.
The his passion shouldn't be dancing or performative movement or whatever he calls it. It should be climate action and environmentalism.
Right.
And the kid is as much a part of the community being traumatized by pollution as the community at large. And that way, so it's like he represents the community as a whole and the oppression that comes from being adjacent to toxic chemicals.
These need not be mutually exclusive things. He could be climate focused and an activist, but his activism could take the form of that really performative. I'm doing a dance that's going to wake the town up in the town square sort of thing.
That would be fun. I do think that him being an activist would play well into the try-hardness of Peter Dinklage as a father. Because it could be, he could be spouting off all sorts of facts about climate change or deadly chemicals that Winston just doesn't really understand, but he's trying desperately to.
Or has to square with the fact that he works at the chemical company.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great.
You're not wrong, but also it's the reason there's food on your table. Yeah. Because I also would like if this had slightly more radical politics. I think there's an opportunity here to actually say something about, and clearly the filmmakers have that in them because of the thing they did where they gave $5 million of their marketing dollars to debt relief.
Right. Yeah.
So like, it's almost like the opposite of put your money where your mouth is, like put your mouth where your money is. Can the movie actually say something about how fucked the American medical system is, how problematic it is that so many communities like Flint, Michigan are subjected to the whims of corporations? Cause this is, I don't know if there's a way I can say this without spoiling. Truly, just if you have not seen Sorry to Bother You, just skip ahead like 30 seconds, but Sorry to Bother You is another radically political movie about labor organization that has mutant animals at the end of it.
Yeah.
So there could be a little more maybe not the racial politics of Sorry to Bother You, but the union organization politics of a movie like that could have played a bigger role than just the like pollution bad, corporate bad.
It's interesting you mentioned Sorry to Bother You, because I also equated this movie with that one while I was watching it. And after while I was like digesting it, I was like, this reminded me a lot of Sorry to Bother You, like in the best way. I'm not trying to say it was derivative or anything. They're clearly movies that are kind of cut from the same cloth and are coming from kind of the same brain space. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be one of the reasons. Yeah.
Using surreality and a heightened world to communicate radical political ideas.
Yeah. And I agree with you. This could go further. This could have absolutely gone further.
I do not disagree. I am someone who firmly believes in politics in my movies, so I'm right on board with you guys.
Movies shouldn't be political, man.
Get politics out of Hollywood.
And also it also is a fun juxtaposition. If it's like making a real case for community organization in the face of corporate malfeasance, then the fact that they're also going to impale a jacked up mutant clown guy with a glowing mop, even more like, then it's kind of more fun. Then it's a little more earned than just like, hey, look, it's a crazy sloppy movie.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition is kind of a little more fun.
I agree.
Yep.
Because as it stands, the message of this movie is really more about like being the dad who stepped up than it is about like actually dealing with. And not that there's nothing wrong with that, because he crushes it in the first act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that storyline is good. It's just, is that what we want from the Toxic Avenger remake?
Yeah, and you're probably right that in 2023, it's the more relevant route to go. Yeah,
could have been better. Just needed to tighten up those screws. Yeah.
I know we were commenting our Ghostbusters Afterlife episode was a little on the leaner side, and this one is also shaping up to be
the Frozen Empire episode, yeah,
or Frozen Empire. What did I say? Afterlife, yeah,
yeah. No, they were basically
not every
the same movie. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, then here, since we got a little time to kill, this movie was a success. It was well received at Fantastic Fest. I think it did make money. Let's say they're going to make a sequel. Any ideas for how you do a sequel?
More mutants, obviously.
Yep.
Have Toxie actually fight some more crazy monsters. Go harder on the climate activism, like we were saying. And I mean, if you hadn't used them, if you went with my plan and didn't use the mob in this movie, have them take on the mob. And you could even tie it into a sequel to the first story. Then you reveal that Bob Garbinger was being bankrolled by the mob, and that they're actually bankrolling a bunch of really shady businesses. And so now you've got a reason for Toxie to go after them.
Yeah. I looked up a bunch of, because I've only ever seen the first in the series. I have not seen 2, 3, or Citizen Toxie. But I looked up an explainer video before watching this, and apparently the follow-up movies are quite bad, except for the villain throughout all of them is a company called Apocalypse Inc., and they're an even more mustache twirling cabal of basically Captain Planet villains. And so I think a sequel with this like Apocalypse Inc. that has its hands in politics, in capitalism, and in street level crime. Like they're always sort of 3 things are puppeted, 3 hardships are being puppeted by one central shadowy cabal is maybe how I would approach a sequel.
Sure.
Since we've already got the origin story underway, then the villain just needs to be bigger.
Yeah. And you can make it so that it's the kind of villain that he can't topple in one movie, so that you can string out maybe a couple schlocky sequels where he works his way up the chain.
Yeah, like a sloppy John Wick. He's just a
sloppy green little John Wick.
More like John Slick.
Well, you did it.
Well, I think, obviously we had some big thoughts on this, but so did our listeners. As Greg mentioned, some people were almost aghast that we suggested this needs to be fixed. But also some people had some legitimate criticism. So we're going to go now to our listener comments. Thank you to everyone who contributed. We solicit these on social media and over in our Discord. Follow us or join us so you can get on the conversation next time. Scott, you want to hit us with Tack's comment?
So Tack opens with cards on the table. I'm not a huge fan of the gory, violent comedies. There are plenty that are enjoyable, even pretty great, but often I'm tolerating the gore rather than enjoying or finding it funny. I only say that because this probably is the best version of that kind of movie I've come across. It's still over the top gory, but exists in such a silly, cartoony world that it doesn't come off as too grim or mean-spirited or self-righteously mean-spirited about it. There's a genuine heart that isn't undercut or incompatible with the violence. There were only a few times where it barely crossed the line for me and never enough to be a significant issue. And that is as close as I can come to a problem in this damn movie. I hope you're happy because I am. Yeah, Tack quite enjoyed this one. His main criticism being it wasn't gory and weird enough, which more monsters would have solved.
I do like the observation that the heart isn't incompatible with the violence, and I do think that is true. The movie's not there's nothing in the movie that's incompatible with anything else. It's more of a that sizzle, that luster, that extra, but it does earn its emotional beats, even if they're very played out, tropey, hacky emotional beats. They are well earned, and I think a lot of that is to Peter Dinklage's credit in the first act, like Greg was saying.
Yeah.
He really grounds the rest of the movie in the first act, and the movie's not like tonally dissonant at any point. There's no mood whiplash. Like it flows really naturally, and I agree with you. It just needed to be more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the scene of him in the hallway early on, like pacing back and forth on the phone with the insurance company, getting dicked over on tiers and plans, and that was very good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think there's a couple people in our Discord who are not a huge fan of gore, and I was just thinking how I almost never bounce off of things because they're too gory, and I don't know what that says about me. But it doesn't, like, the only movie I can remember where I was like, wow, this is too much was a movie called Martyrs, which is a French horror film. If you know, you know. If you are squeamish at all, do not check it out at all. It's the only movie that ever made me like physically sweat, through my shirt while I was watching it. But in most cases, like I don't even have a problem with it when it's depicted realistically. Like you mentioned The Pit earlier, Liam. I find myself, even when it's like realistic or whatever, I'm like, wow, that looks great, man. That's incredible that they got it to look that realistic. I get sort of like, I mean, I wince and stuff like anybody else does, of course, but like, I'm still like sort of like gleefully laughing at it at the same time.
Yeah, I think for me, it is the more realistic it is and specific, like the more very detailed. Like I mentioned caught stealing at the beginning as well. And there's a scene where this isn't a spoiler because I didn't even finish the movie because it was too violent. I was like, this is making me grimace. But he was getting beaten up by gangsters after having recovered from kidney surgery. Yeah. So they're like kicking him in his kidney surgery wound. And I'm like, nope, I can't do this. But where this movie or like Deadpool or anything like that, guys get their arms ripped off and thrown around, and because it's played for laughs, I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when an arm gets ripped off. Yeah. I don't have to like put myself in the headspace of that character the way I would imagining getting kicked in the kidney zone, right?
Yeah.
In the same way, I don't really like think about the coyote falling off a cliff. Like, oh man, that would really hurt.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, he falls off a cliff. Like, yeah, his arms got ripped off.
I have high health anxiety. I should bounce off some of this stuff. I shouldn't really be able to watch The Pit at all, but I love it.
Yeah. The blood draining needle thing from the recent episode of The Pit. Couldn't hang with that. You know. Robin Taylor says, my only note is, show me your lunch is about the most perfect line to describe this movie. What was that in reference to? Do any of us know?
Yeah, in the film, at one point when he's fighting the rampant misogynist.
Oh yes, I did like that line.
Right.
Yeah.
And he rips out a guy's intestines and says, "Show me your lunch."
Right.
Yes. Good line. Good moment.
I said that and we all sort of paused for a second, like, were we all just going to pretend we remembered that line? Because one of us needs to have actually remembered it, and I'm glad
I did remember.
Okay, good.
I thought you guys were pondering a response. And then it became clear that you guys had no idea what he was talking about.
Nope.
Bogo Load says, I just have a hard time thinking of anything that would actually improve this for being what it is. Most changes would pivot away from being this kind of movie about this kind of story pretty fast. I don't know. I think we came up with some ideas for ways that we could have punched up the plot that don't radically change what the movie is.
I love how they phrased that there at the end. This kind of movie about this kind of story. And I think that really sums up my issue with it. I love this kind of movie. I am bored shitless of this kind of story. And so I think the way we fix it is we change the kind of story it is, but not the kind of movie it is.
Yeah. By adding more mutant monsters. Solves most problems, guys.
Yeah.
Well, if you have some other ideas about how we could have improved this kind of story, it's never too late to reach out to us to tell us. You can reach out to us on various social medias, including Blue Sky. I have some notes.bluesky.social. We're over on Instagram at I have some notes pod. We're at Facebook at I have some notes. But as always, the best place to talk to us any time of day about anything at all related to movies is over on our Discord server. You can find the link to join on the profile of any of our social media accounts mentioned or over at ihavesomenotes.com. And of course, as always, give us a little rating on your review catcher of choice. A little rating and a review there because that helps us out.
And if you would like to help us pay for our medical conditions, our medical bills, I've got movie-itis and I can't stop watching movies. And if you want to help cure what ails me, you can head over to patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes, become an armchair screenwriter, kick us $4 a month. There's some bonus content on there. Might be some more in the future, but mostly it's just a way for you to help support the show. If you like listening to what we do, that helps cover some of the costs of running a podcast. And thank you to those who already support us. Sharon, Karen, Tack, Josh, and Robin. You're much appreciated.
To lift the lid on how the podcast is made, we usually come up with the next episode right before we record, and sometimes it can be an arduous process, but when someone said Con Air, everyone got pretty excited. So we'll be looking at Nicolas Cage one more time in the next episode, so catch us in 2 weeks.
Until then, I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
And I'm Greg Beaver. Keep watching the skies.